Chris Russell joins us here on the show. Chris, first off, my man, welcome in. Good to have you on BetMGM tonight. Number two, the name of the show is Rooster and the Rookie. My dude, Jayden Daniels, ain't a rookie no more. I got a lot of people calling for the sophomore slump a la C.J. Stroud. I'm not one of them, buddy. I'm in on Jayden Daniels to do it again. I got Jayden Daniels and a lot of over props, and I've taken a little bit of a ticket on the Commanders to win the NFC East. Talk to me about the no longer a rookie Jayden Daniels and what you expect out of year two.
All right, so I love the intro, but let me clarify. Rooster and the Rookie is actually my wrestling podcast.
Even better, we're talking about that too. I'm a wrestling guy, Chris. We're saving 3 minutes at the end.
Rooster is my
I
nickname.
love it.
So Rooster's the nickname, right, that people gave me, whatever, in radio. Long story behind that. We don't need to go there. Rooster and the Rookie is my wrestling podcast with my former producer at the Team 980, which, I think we're on right now, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the point being is, so the radio show is separate than that. So I just so that's that whole deal. So we can talk about Hulk Hogan if you want. He no longer has any over-unders. But as far as the Commanders and Jayden Daniels, guys, I've been out of training camp the last 3 days. It was hot as hell today. They moved up practice to 8 a.m. because there was like a 108-degree heat index. And Jayden Daniels looked every bit the part of hot as hell because he threw 3 interceptions, and the team threw 4 interceptions. So I don't know. Not much tougher schedule and a bigger gauntlet of quarterbacks and more road games than home games. They ain't going to sneak up on anybody this year, so be careful.
First of all, that was that 2 minutes right there. Put that in the Radio Hall of Fame. WrestleMania is an amazing X handle, by the way. Fantastic.
Thank you.
You don't see a lot of Commanders. You don't see a lot of Commanders and wrestling reporters. That is a very unique mix there, Chris. So I think you're.
Here's the thing. Not to cut you off. Chris Russell. I peel back the curtain here a little bit. Chris Russell, not my real name. Okay, I got a name that I can't use for different reasons that I can explain to you guys another time. So I said, well, how do I make this name that I was just given 25 years ago sound okay? Well, I'm a big wrestling fan, so somebody said, well, why don't you just use WrestleMania after WrestleMania, Hulkamania, whatever, and boom, here we are, 25 years later.
Nailed it. Thank you for not incriminating and doxing yourself on air. That would have been another Radio Hall of Fame moment. But I'm glad we sideswiped that one. All right, serious Washington question, because I agree. I think when I analyzed the season last year, 8-4 in one-score games, NFL record 87% fourth down conversions, which is just silly. That's supposed to be roll of the dice. You might come up snake eyes, but Washington came up on the right side of that dice roll almost every single time. And then you mentioned the schedule of quarterbacks. Here it is. From week 12 through week 18 last year, Cooper Rush, Will Levis, Jake Haener, Rattler, Pickett, Penix, Trey Lance. And they won just one of those games by more than 6 points. So I am fascinated to see how the hunter becomes the hunted. Has that been a narrative amongst the players in training camp?
Oh, well, maybe not the players as much, but certainly the media, I'll tell you that, right? I mean, we all pretty much expect them to go from 12 regular season wins for some of the reasons that you just mentioned, if not a lot of the reasons what you just mentioned, down to probably 10 maybe. Maybe even some of us have them at 9, hint, hint. But the bottom line is the players seem pretty confident because those that are returning for year 2 of Dan Quinn and his coaching staff, they swear by Dan Quinn. They love him. They love everything that they do. The tempo is cool, all of that. They love 5, obviously Jayden Daniels. They like who they brought back, the veterans, the rookies, the young guys, the little mix that they've got. Now, I think they overlook some things that I'm worried about. But, listen, I mean, they're a good team. They are going to probably make the playoffs. I can't guarantee that, but there are a lot of reasons to be potentially concerned. And I'll go one step further. What happens if Jayden Daniels doesn't use his legs as much as a play extender, as a runner, like a Lamar Jackson, and to some degree like a Josh Allen? What if he doesn't do that as much, either by design or because maybe he gets banged up like he did with his ribs midway through last year? Well, do they have the running game to counter that? Because they didn't last year, and they really struggled while Jayden was getting healthy.
We are talking to Chris Russell, a.k.a. Russell Mania, here on BetMGM tonight and the BetMGM Network. Chris, break this down, this Terry McLaurin situation for me. My thought has been, get the dude paid. And I know the Commanders are hesitant. I know he, from what I've understood, kind of wants like a copy-paste of the Garrett Wilson contract with the Jets. To me, the value is not necessarily in Terry McLaurin being one of the best receivers in the NFL. Whether he is or is, I think is subjective, and I've heard a lot of different opinions. To me, the value is in not just the reliability, missing very few games due to injury, but also the absolute chemistry that he built up with Jayden Daniels last year. I'd like to see that continue. He is one of the few dudes that when I heard it, I went, you got to pay that man, no questions asked. But where are you on that whole situation?
Yeah, so here's the deal. I love Terry. I love him as a dude. I mean, he's one of the best guys you're ever going to meet. Just a rock-solid dude. Let's start there. But he's going to be 30 week 2. Okay, so they're saying, well, he's got 1 year currently left on his deal, and we can franchise tag him after that once, if not twice. Not that you want to do that, but you can do that, right? So theoretically, they have him under control for 3 more years. They want to pay Terry. They want to keep Terry, but they don't want to pay Terry $30 million a year. They certainly don't want to make the mistake that the Pittsburgh Steelers probably made by paying DK Metcalf $33 million a year, even though Terry came in the same year as DK, has, I think, 5 less touchdowns overall than DK, but has the same amount of targets, more yards, the same amount of games played and all that stuff, right? So you could do the comparables forever. They want to pay him more like how Tampa Bay paid Mike Evans, which was a couple of years ago when Mike Evans was 30, and they only gave him $22 million a year. So I've heard the number that they've offered, I don't know if they're still there, is around 25, give or take, per year, which is still a nice, healthy payday. But it's not what Terry wants. And who's going to budge first? I mean, I think it'll be Terry that budges first if the Commanders are willing to maybe come up to 28, 29, maybe 30, just from the standpoint of, guys, we know he's getting fined, but when you start missing game checks, you know, like you not only lose game checks, which are almost $1 million a pop, but you also lose the potential to get numbers that are going to help you and help bolster your argument for your new contract, wherever that might be. And if we get to that point, does Terry request a trade? I mean, I believe he certainly could if he's frustrated enough. If he's asking for 33, 34, and they're offering 25 guys, that's a wide divide. That's not a thing that you just make up right away. So ultimately, I think this thing will drag out. I don't think he'll miss any regular season games, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's late in camp, late in the preseason.
Chris, I asked this question to any team reporter I get a chance to talk to before the season starts. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, most likely scenario. Go.
We're talking record-wise?
Yeah, just for the season. Like, looking back on the season, what's the best case scenario that Washington could possibly have, worst case scenario, and then what's really the most likely scenario that you see playing out?
So to me, I think the best case scenario, look, everybody wants to win a Super Bowl, but advance one step further, right? They lost in the NFC Championship. Everybody thinks they got blown out. They got blown out by the final score. That was an 11-point game with the Commanders driving at midfield at the start of the fourth quarter, and Austin Eckler fumbled, and it was their third turnover of a 4-turnover game. So I don't think they were that far away from being in that game, as everybody thinks. So I think take one step further, get to the Super Bowl, which is enormous, right? You don't even have to win it. Just keep progressing. So that's the best case scenario. I think the worst case scenario is like 8 and 9, Jayden severely regresses, or he misses 6-7 weeks with, I don't know, an MCL or sprained ankle or sprained foot or something worse, God forbid, right? That's the worst case scenario. And I think the other part was most realistic scenario, right?
Yep, most likely.
Okay, most realistic for me, I'll just stay with 10 wins. But I think the schedule being what it is, the quarterback gauntlet that we talked about, 9 road games versus 8 home games. Again, people having a little bit more of a beat on Jayden. We'll see what happens with the Terry McLaurin thing. I think the defense will be better this year. I think the most realistic scenario is 10-7. And probably a wild card, second to Philadelphia in the division, and maybe you win a playoff game and get to the divisional round again and lose to somebody better.
All right. So talk me in or out of this. I mean, you can't talk me out of it. I've already made the bet, Chris, but Jayden and I were talking before we had you on. I've got a little bit of change. Not a big bet, just a little bit of a dust across the top for the Commanders to win this division. Hypothetically, if the Commanders are able to win the division, will it be more because the Commanders took a big step forward and passed the Eagles? Will it be more because the Super Bowl hangover is real and the Eagles take a step back? Will there be some combination? If the Commanders win this division, it is because blank.
Yeah, it's probably a combination of choice A and choice B. I think it's possible for the Commanders to, guys, be better this year as a team overall and win less games, if that makes sense. Some of the reasons why we discussed earlier, right? So, but I do think a regression of some sorts is coming for the Eagles, right? Can Saquon be as good as he was last year? Jalen Hurts is not a great regular season quarterback. I think we've all seen that, right? What happens if A.J. Brown gets hurt or somebody significant gets hurt? They lost a couple of pass rushers on their defense. They lost a couple of their veteran corners. We'll see how everything shakes out there. But the bottom line is I think I think you can also roll the dice on this. If you're thinking about picking the Commanders, or in your case, you already picked the Commanders to win the division, no team has repeated in the NFC East since I believe it's 2004 or something like that. Maybe it's 2005. I can't remember the exact year, but it's been like 20, 21 years since a team has repeated in the NFC East. That would, if trends hold up, if numbers hold up, if history holds up, that would do us rid of the Eagles. And I think the Commanders are clearly better than the Giants and the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's tough. The repeat thing is weird. It's weird, Chris. Everyone, and in the gambling world, we call that the gambler's fallacy, where you can't expect the same thing. You know, this has happened so many times, so that means this is going to happen next. We see this a lot at the roulette table. We see 10 straight blacks. You know, well, the next spin has to be red. It has to be red. Yeah, it's 50-50 either way. I mean, if you minus the stupid double zero.
I personally think the Eagles are going to win the division and snap that. So I'm much along those lines. But, again, if you told me, would you be shocked if the Commanders won it? Of course not. Of course not. And I would absolutely be willing to put some money down on that just for a little fun and just for a ride, right? And just for something to root for, because I'm not even naturally born a Commanders fan. But I want them to win. It's better for business, guys. You know, it's better for my sanity, because dealing with these nut job fans around here with the colors and the team name and the this and the that and anything but football is enough to drive you to drink. And I don't need any problems or any temptations in that regard.
Chris Russell has, with one 20-second promo, just started a feud and got massive heat around D.C. Chris Russell covers the Commanders for the Team 980, but also check out his wrestling podcast, The Rooster and the Rookie. Chris, I'm just going to tell you straight up, we're going to have you back on to talk some pro wrestling, because I'm a big fan sometime in the future. My man, great to talk to you, buddy. Thanks for being here. We appreciate the time, pal. Great stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Anytime you need me, just say the word.